Good afternoon and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. And as always, on a Sunday, we have Newcastle fans from around the world. And you never know where the new faces are going to come from. But if you want to come on, by all means, give us a shout during the week and we'll try and get you on. Big welcome today to Chris Hall, who's in Liverpool, and Dave G, who's in Sydney, Australia. Couldn't get much further away. So great to have you on, guys. Thanks for reaching out. And of course, a big welcome to the regulars, Andre, Adam, Spenny Mag, Al Walid, Nathan, Martin, and Daz. Hope you're all well, lads.
All good.
Yeah. All good.
Good. As always, as we know, plenty to talk about. Let's start on the positive news that we've got players coming in. Chris, we'll come to you. You're making your debut. Callum Wilson looks as if he's on his way to Newcastle. £20 million bid accepted, and we've been craving out for a striker. So looks as if he's arriving. Ryan Fraser deal as well, potentially going to be announced. And we've also got the fullback as well from Watford, Lewis, which is another position which a lot of people have said we needed strengthening in. So Jamal Lewis from Norwich, of course, another possibility. Predicted loan also of Arsenal central defender Rob Holding, which we're hoping will be completed within the next couple of days. So plenty of activity. Are you positive about that? Are you happy about that, Chris?
Yeah, really happy. I mean, I was one of the people, Steve. I know you were quite against it. I was one of the people where I was quite happy to sacrifice Richie to bring in Callum Wilson. But the fact that we're not going to be sacrificing Richie, I think, is a really good thing. I think as well in this day and age, with £20 million, I think it's a really reasonable fee for Wilson. I mean, give it 18 months ago, and people were talking about 40-50 million. So I think it's a really good signing, and I think it's reason to be positive. I still feel that we could do with a right back. That's still a concern. I know we've got 3 at the moment. We've got Kraft, Manquillo, and Yedlin, but I'd like to see Yedlin moved on. And if we could bring in a permanent right back, I think that I would still like to see that. But definitely no complaints. Jamal Lewis from Norwich is going to be fantastic. Hopefully we can get him in sooner rather than later. Fraser's going to link up well with Wilson, and to add to that, obviously we've got Hendrick in the middle as well, who replaces the outgoing Bentaleb. So I think the signings that we're going to be making hopefully are really positive. I really like them.
Chris, would you say it's the best summer that we've had under Ashley and probably in existence?
Arguably, yeah. I think it's really good business, and there will be some people who say, free signings, or bringing loans in, but I think it's what we need at the moment. And Ashley's putting his money where his mouth is and bringing Wilson in, and that's badly needed. We need a number 9. I mean, with Joe Linton, again, I don't want to bash him, but he doesn't look like a striker, and at the same time, I don't even really particularly think he looks like a winger. So we definitely need a number 9 in. We need someone to come in, score some goals. I think Shelby was our top scorer with 6 last season, which it's not good enough. So I think bringing Wilson in is going to be fantastic.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Chris. Dave G, welcome to the show, mate. Same question to you, really.
Hey,
happy with the business so far? If these players are all in, and obviously Chris has mentioned Hendricks as well, which was a bit of business already done. Are you happy with this so far?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm quite shocked. Obviously happy if we do get Ryan Fraser. Though I'm a bit pessimistic as well. So I think with Ryan Fraser, I can't believe that he ran down his contract to join us. I'm sure he was looking for something better, but it hasn't happened. And I'm not too sure why that's been the case. But I mean, I'm happy, but I'm shocked that he's spending 20 million on a striker, because he's 28-year-old. Now we all know that. Obviously, like the previous year, we wouldn't spend that money on Rondon, right? And it's the same age, right? And we all wanted Rondon to sign. Didn't happen because it didn't fit the policy. I think it's been a big shift in the policy, right? And I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, I don't understand it, because it doesn't feel like a Mike Ashley summer, right? Apart from that one season where we bought like Mitrovic and we spent serious money and got relegated. My only thinking is that what it is, right? We're actually doing a house renovation, right? So what we're doing is we have a shabby house, and what we're doing, we're actually making some renovations to make it look good and basically preserve the asset, right? Because Mike actually thinks that the takeover will happen, but he can't have an asset that's in the relegation zone being the lowest goal scorer in the league. So I think what he's doing, that he's making signings so that he can guarantee us as much as he can do Premiership football, so that he can push the sale through. Because I think that if we, come the first few months of the season, if we're the bottom scorers in the relegation zone, who's going to want to buy it? And I think he's obviously, before he's went out and bought talent from like France and Germany, and hasn't really paid off. Like you look at Joe Linton, I know we slate him a lot, but it was a gamble. 40 million, 2 goals. He can't afford to do that again. And I think that's the bottom line, is that he's went out and he's bought somebody proven in the Premiership, and I think that's just purely to preserve the sale, because I think we can't afford to be in relegation zone come early doors, and the squad does need improving. So I think he's he is using his own money. I don't believe it's PCP or what have you. I think it's his money to preserve the club status in the Premiership for next year, because he thinks the sale is going to go through.
Yeah, fair points, Dave. Andre, what's your take on the players that are incoming? We're getting a lot of comments, as you've seen on screen, of course, about people asking where the money's coming from. Is this actually spending the money, do you think, or is it a little bit of outside investment?
I don't want to get carried away, because actually I don't think it's the first time that Ashley is splashing the cash. If you remember, in the summer of 2015, just before the season we got relegated, he splashed around 50 million on the likes of Townsend, Chancel Memba, Mitrovic, and Gini Wijnaldum. And actually, I was pretty excited at the time, and I thought that finally, times are changing, and Ashley is changing his approach. And then in the winter window of the same season, he gave money to McLaren for John Joe Shelby and Andros Townsend. And I remember that Newcastle was the biggest spender in Europe that winter. Of course, the Jan transfer window is dead, but still only with these 2 transfers, Newcastle were the biggest spenders in January. And we all know what happened that season. Like, Newcastle got relegated, and the team was not good enough. And the same thing is more than possible to happen again. So the fact that money might be spent doesn't guarantee anything. You need also a good manager, as somebody was mentioning in the comments. Rafa never got the same backing as Steve McLaren did, and possibly like Steve Bruce will get this summer. And let's also not forget last summer, when 40 million was spent on Joe Linton and another close to 20 on Alan Saint-Maximin, which are big sums. And I think it's actually spending. As the guy said, he has to protect his investment. He seems like a willing seller, but if Newcastle gets relegated, he loses more than half of the current price, I guess. And with the crisis coming, he might even lose more. That's why I like the rumors. Nothing is done yet except for Jeff Hendrick. So let's take it with a pinch of salt. But very positive rumors. And of course, if everything materializes, like Fraser, Wilson, even Rob Holding, the guy from Norwich, who I honestly haven't watched much, but I read only positive stuff about him, then it's on paper, it seems like a strong squad. But another thing that I was just checking, by the way, is that Newcastle already with Jeff Hendrick in have 25 players, and even with 25 in, Dunbar Laser is out. Dunbar Laser is the 26. So basically, from now on, whoever comes in, one needs to go out, because we only have Matty Longstaff under 21. And he's the only one who can be registered without taking the place of anyone else incoming. So more or less, these are my thoughts.
Yeah, good points again, Andre. Adam, I mean, I can see where Andre's coming from, and this is the thing with Newcastle fans. We're all very, I think cynical is the word probably nowadays of anything that goes on. But yeah, the squad numbers are going to play its part, and we know the players are going to go out. But these players that potentially are going to be wearing the black and white shirt, they're an improvement. It's certainly much needed. Well, I've made a comment on this program before, though, that we're signing players that were relegated last season as well.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't bother me at all. I mean, there are good players on bad teams, right? I mean, we've had that before at Newcastle, and there are plenty of other examples of good players being on bad teams that go on to have very good careers once they get to better teams. So I'm not worried about that. I agree completely with what's been said so far on these new signings. Obviously, they're an improvement on what we have. They're the 3 positions that we've been talking about for weeks on this show. But I'm a little bit hesitant on Wilson just because he makes about 100 grand a week or 95 grand a week at Bournemouth. So if we're going to sign him, he's going to be by far our highest player in this squad, and he'll get close to the sort of Michael Owen wages that started to cripple Newcastle all those years ago. So, I appreciate that they're trying to get a striker in. He's exactly the kind of proven experience we need to get us sort of where we need to be in the league. But I just want to be a little bit cautious about Wilson. I know he's keen to come up here, which is fantastic, or come up to Newcastle, sorry, which is fantastic. That's a really, really positive sign. But for a guy on such high wages, who's probably going to be signing his last big contract, right? If it's a 4 or a 5 year deal, that takes him out to 32, 33. His agent's going to want to make some money off this. There's sort of 5 people that have to be satisfied in this contract, right? It's the buyers, the sellers, the family, the player, and the agent. So it's a big, big transfer for Newcastle. Not only the 20 million fee, but you're probably talking about another $100,000, £100,000 a week in wages, and that gives me a bit of hesitation, a bit of reason for pause. So we'll see what happens in the next few days on Wilson. I think he's flying up north today and probably do a medical tomorrow, it sounds like. So very, very important 24 hours for that deal. The Ryan Fraser one, sort of the same situation, right? It's already been mentioned on this call today that he wound down his contract for a reason, right? I think he thought he was going to a top 6 or a top 8 club. I know Liverpool and Tottenham were heavily linked with him 6 months ago. I think he's going to want big wages as well. They were talking about 60 or 70,000 for him. So yeah, he's a free transfer, but agent fees and player fees, that's going to be an expensive one. Jamal Lewis is actually really, really exciting. I watched him quite a lot last year at Norwich and the season before in the Championship. Newcastle haven't had a proper left back in more than a decade. I mean, bless Paul Dummett. I don't think he'd be a left back if he had a choice. He's just the only good left-footed defender we've had other than Kieran Clark. So he's been made into a left back, but I don't think he actually wants to be a left back. So David Santon was another one. He was actually a right back that became a left back. So we've had either right-footed left backs or left central defenders playing left back. So he's 21 or so. He's very, very young, very raw. He's a full international. He's got a year of experience in the Premier League already. I think he would be a fantastic signing. It's almost too good to be true, which also makes me nervous a little bit with Newcastle. We don't tend to do well in these situations, right, where we've been burnt before. So fingers crossed on that. And then to Andre's point about the squad, we've talked about that on here before. I've posted online about that. The squad is completely full. And yeah, a lot of it isn't very good, but the squad is completely full. So we're either going to have to spend the next 3 weeks, the remainder of the window, trying to dump some of these guys out, whether it's on loan or just terminate their contracts, frankly, or we're going to end up with a situation like we did last year where we had Colback, Sarve, and Lazar and Aarons who weren't registered, 3 of which, by the way, are still at the club. So a lot of interesting outgoings over the next few weeks. But yeah, the next 3 or 4 days could be really, really exciting for fans. No doubt about that.
Yep. Cheers, Adam. Spenny Mag, obviously signings coming in is not something we're used to in transfer windows under Mike Ashley, but it is looking quite positive at the moment. Are you happy with those players coming in? You need to unmute yourself, Spenny Mag. It's week 3. You should be used to it, lad. There you go.
Oh, I thought you could hear us out there, mute on. You know what I mean? Anyway, yes, I'm positive. It's positive getting these players in. They're good players. Maybe they're in relegated teams. They're still good players. One of the lads was playing for England. The other lad's playing for Scotland. The 20 million isn't much for a recognised goal scorer these days. Fair enough. He's going to get wages. You've got to pay wages, that much wages, to get these type of players in. Simple as that. I know Bentley was on 85 grand was in loan to Newcastle. So if you can afford someone on loan, we can obviously going to look at it. End of the day, we haven't spent money like you've just said, Steve, for a long time. This money's been in the bank, haven't it? It's about time we were spending some money on some decent players.
Do you agree with the other lads that he's got to protect his investment? Dave G made the point before. He has to protect the investment. I mean, if he still wants to sell the football club, then it's no good in the Championship because as time goes on and COVID doesn't go away and crowds can't come back to St James's Park, then he's got to protect the asset some way, I suppose.
He has to selling tops, and he's obviously merchandise. and all that. Obviously, brings when you buy players, that happens as well. People buy the tops and all that sort of thing. If people's not going to match, what are they going to spend the money on? You know what I mean, Steve?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Al Walid, good to see you, mate. Obviously, Newcastle signing players, you're relatively new to this heartache of Newcastle United, but, you do watch the Premier League games and you'll have seen Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser in action for Bournemouth there. Are you happy with those kind of investments as a Newcastle fan?
Actually, yeah. I would start with Wilson and Fraser. Then there is one negative thing that they came from a team being relegated. So, this point. But I try to review some statistics. I noticed Bournemouth, usually this past season, all their numbers and statistically down, most of the players. So maybe there is something wrong with the team, and maybe the formation and the play of the team in general. Regarding second thing, it's an opportunity for them to prove themselves. They are Premier League material. They get opportunity together. We will get benefit of the chemistry between these two, especially in the wing and the striker. So this will build. No need. The chemistry will be good for the team. They know each other. They will. I think they will. I will believe they will be a good addition. For the numbers regarding Wilson, I saw his statistics since 2015. It's always gradually increasing, except last year. So this is another evidence there was something with Bournemouth's performance in general. Regarding Fraser, his I think contract finish with the Bournemouth. So also his another opportunity for him. I'm not very happy about his statistic. He play 28, score 1, and assist 4 assists. Regarding Jamal Lewis, he left back and also play as left midfield. He's still young, only 1 season in Premier League, so I think he will get a big chance in Newcastle in improving.
Okay.
Regarding one thing regarding Holding from Arsenal, he play little match, not high number of games, but at least the statistic is very, very good for him. I like tackle succeed in 70%, which is high number, I believe.
I do want to ask you just about the atmosphere in Saudi with regards to the takeover. It's gone very quiet in the UK. A lot of people casting aspersions on Amanda Staveley and PCP over the last few weeks, as they haven't come back and said anything. What's the atmosphere been like? In Saudi amongst Newcastle fans there? Are people still believing that a deal could be done, or has it gone quiet over there as well?
For me, it's depends who you are listening to. Some fans, they are not very aware by details day by day what's going on, and the other fans like me who close and always try to analyze and read the sites and every news, every reporters, everyone, and there is also resources confirms there is a talk behind the walls. So it's been if you analyze everything going on day by day, you will notice there is something. You believe there is something going on, especially the point you said. Also, I just maybe today with you guys, I feel there is another evidence that the takeover will go through sooner or later, because you said it's you are confusing where is the money came from. So, this is good news that there is. Maybe he want to, regardless, it's come from BCB or from Mike Ashley himself. They want to protect the investment for the future. So I believe the takeover will go through, inshallah.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, Al-Walid. Paul Oxley, I see you're getting a bit aerated about the lads' comments about relegated players. I think it's just something that got brought up, last week and the week before. When we were linked with these players, and you've got to admit that when you're signing players, it is a positive. But ultimately, people do have an opinion. Some people feel that essentially bringing in players from relegated teams will only lead to one thing, and that's relegation. But it doesn't often work out like that. Doesn't always happen like that. So yeah, look, if you're optimistic, Paul, more grease to your elbow. I'm delighted for you. I could better support Newcastle sometimes just by being a little bit more realistic. I've definitely turned into me dad, but it's not a bad thing. That's what makes things. And Paul's asking, is Townsend a bad player, Steve? No, Townsend isn't a bad player. Rafa wanted to sign him. But, as I said, it's all about opinions. A lot of people feel, that the players we're bringing in aren't as good as, they could be. But, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating, and we'll see what happens over the course of the season. But a lot can change. Nathan, coming to you now, just about the recent movement in the transfer window. What's your feelings?
Yeah, I think to address what Paul said in the chat, it's a case of any of these players that have historically been linked with bigger teams than us, such as like we're talking about Fraser to Liverpool and Tottenham and that kind of thing. None of these players get linked with teams like that if they're not good players. The issue is attitude and application. And what we saw last season at Bournemouth was pretty much the full team just decided to stop playing for Eddie Howe, and that's what it was. That what the issue was. He couldn't get them up for it in the last few games of the season when they were up against it, and that's what ultimately led to their downfall. These players have had a good couple of seasons at Bournemouth, particularly the season before last when they were all linked with all these other teams. So it's more about attitude and application. And I guess with that, the only concern is if they're coming into a team that's going to be in a similar plight to Bournemouth maybe in this coming season, that's going to be the only concern. But I think none of us are saying that any of these players are bad players, but it's just about how they're sort of, what they're made of, what their character's made of, whether they can deal with the pressure of being up against it every week in, week out. That's the issue. I think in terms of it's good positive movements that we're making. One thing I would say is that I don't want to get too carried away just yet because we've not got any of them sort of over the line, as we say. With Newcastle, there's always sort of two stumbling blocks to every transfer. We've got the stumbling block of the initial fee, which is something that the board are against paying a lot of the time. We'll try and cut a deal. We'll try and get it for cheaper than what the going rate is. It's pleasing to see that we've gone in and matched what Villa offered for Wilson and gone above that. Like the second stumbling block is obviously wages as well. We're hearing a lot of these players are on quite big wages, Wilson especially. They're going to be wanting, like Adam said, it's going to be their sort of for Wilson. It's going to be his last big major contract. So it's going to be one. It needs to be a lucrative one for him and for his agent and for everyone involved. So that's another stumbling block that we've got to get over. What's quite sort of disappointing, really, and I don't know if it seems to be a Newcastle thing, but more so for us than it seems for anyone else. All our transfers seem to get played out in the public domain, in the tabloids and on Twitter and online and one thing and another. You see a lot of these deals for players like some of the bigger clubs when you're in Liverpool and when they're after somebody, they sign them and you don't really hear about it until they're on the way for the medical and it's sort of a done deal. But for us, it's kind of, I don't know if that's a supporter perspective because we're sort of on the ball and we're looking all the time for that kind of information. But it seems to me like these transfers are played out for us all to see. We've all got an opinion of them. We've all got we're all there every step of the way. So for us, it's like kind of like the waiting game to make sure it's kind of that they actually get over the line. So yeah, hopefully they can get these deals done because I think they'd add a lot of quality to our squad. Like I said, none of these players are bad players if they've been linked with teams that are up and around the top end of the Premier League. So it can only add quality to positions that we need them. I think after watching, well, I say watching, but it wasn't available to watch. But seeing the highlights or seeing the goal that we conceded yesterday against Stoke, that was dreadful defending. Yedlin looked like he looked like a 10-year-old stood there. He looked tiny and he's not jumping up and not tracking his man. And Darlow was like in no man's land as well. And it was just like, it makes me think we want to get Woodman back in, or I don't know, get another right back like the lads have said. Because I think that we've sat and talked on here in previous weeks saying that that our defense is looking solid and one thing or another. But if anything, from this past week, we've looked absolutely all over the place, haven't we? So whether that needs to be an area that we revisit, whether we've got any budget left or anything like that, I'm not sure. But I think we need to look back at our defense probably and see what we can do about that, because we've shipped six goals this week in friendlies against lower league opposition, which is, I know it's only friendlies, but it doesn't look good, does it? At all. It doesn't fill you with confidence. And yeah, I think on the Wilson transfer, I think that perhaps we might need to look at like getting another striker alongside him. I mentioned it a few times, but like Troy Deeney came out and criticised more expensive players this week, didn't he, for scoring less goals than him, and he was saying that I only cost 300,000 or something. I don't see why we wouldn't just get him in, because I think he'd be the perfect fit alongside Wilson. Wilson's a clever player and he'll run off and he'll make intelligent runs, and I think someone big and strong like Deeney up front with him would be really good, and that'd stand us in good stead. Two proven goal scorers there. But yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the Troy Deeney comments were obviously in an interview. He was just giving an honest opinion, giving his own opinion about what was going on this season, and he couldn't understand why people were saying that he's not worth the risk. But it's all about opinions. He's obviously going to big himself up. He's obviously wanting a move away from Watford. Martin, good to see you, mate. Same to you. What do you make of the recent transfer activity around St James's Park?
Yeah, I think it's good. I get the pessimism, because normally good stuff doesn't happen to us. So I get that, and we're normally lastminute.com, deadline day, chasing scraps. So I think that there is a slight change in obviously the thinking. I think there seems to be a switch of looking to buy predominantly British players with proven ability or proven Premier League, which I think is not a bad thing, from that point. I think I had a quick look this morning. So Wilson, if you look at him, he's definitely going to bring goals. Last 5 seasons, he's 41 goals and 12 assists, I think it is. So, on average, you're going to get at least 8 or 9, if not 10 a season from him. So that's 10 we didn't have last season. So for me, a 10 plus is a positive. Same thing with Fraser. Doesn't score that many, but over the last 3 seasons, he's 16 goals and 26 assists. So if nothing else, and Andre, I'm sorry for stealing your stats, because I know you're normally the stats man. But at least I'm hoping we're going to add something that we haven't had, which is a few goals and some decent assists. I think Fraser and Wilson, somebody put up there, would walk straight into our team, and they will do. So for me, it's positives. Deeney, I think, would you take him? Yeah, you would. But I think from our perspective, Jesus, Newcastle would need a massive change of fortunes of getting penalties for him to get you goals, because 10 of his goals last season were from the spot. So we don't get penalties. So how's he going to score? So hard to know. But yeah, I think it's good. I think the likes of Jamal Lewis, if we can get him, he's in England under 23s. I think he's over at Northern Ireland at the minute. He's obviously going to have some resale value if we can get him in. Would you take Deeney? Maybe. I see a few tweets this morning for Chelsea are going to give Batshuayi a new deal, and they're looking to loan him out. So I'd be looking at him probably more so than Deeney. But again, I think it'll come down to the wages of what we've got left. So on a whole, it's positive. So, the pessimism I get, and, I'm probably a little bit the same. It looks positive, but I'll wait until I see them on the pitch with a shirt, and then I'll get a bit more excited maybe.
Yeah, fair enough, Martin. Daz, again, you can finish off on the latest incomings and potential incomings. What's your take been on this week's activity? I mean, it was only last week we were criticising Lee Charnley for being dreadfully slow. Now he's like Mo Farah.
What happened to him? Okay, yeah, my take. Where were we 1 week ago, 7 days ago? We were talking about getting stuffed by Middlesbrough 5-1 to where we are now. We're talking about 3 at least players coming in. The lads really covered it. They're all good players. Fraser, if you look at his stats from not last season, the season before, his assist was off the charts. No wonder Arsenal were linked to him. Jamal Lewis, definitely want him. My only fear there is that someone will try and snatch him. But like Liverpool, I know they were linked to him at the start of the window. And Callum Wilson, he will get us goals. I could see him getting about 15 goals or so for us. I hope he'd have better service. I might even link up with John Joe as well, like in the same way Gail does, but maybe he could stay on the pitch a bit longer. Then just about who's making the signings. Yeah, it looks like logic would dictate that it's Ashley making the signings to protect his asset. I wonder, are we going to bring in the other guy, the Ruggiero, the other guy that's linked, or was it Lewis or Ruggiero? If we do bring in Ruggiero, then there's something up going on the background. There's no way that much money is going to be spent. Then just on people touched on Troy Deeney. For me, no, I wouldn't take him. A couple of years ago, I would, but no, not now. I'd rather take someone on loan that we have an option to buy, so if that was possible. And a few more people in the comments as well. If there is money left over, or if someone else is providing that cash in the short term, I'd look at Max Aarons as well from Norwich. Now Mankion is going to do a job for us. I don't trust the other two guys, Kraft or Yedlin, but I'd look at Max Aarons as well. But we're in a much better place than we were last week. I think the first two games with West Ham and Brighton are 6-pointers for me, and we need to hit the ground running. The keeper is still a worry, missing Dubravka, but look at. We'll take it as it comes. We're in a better position than we were last week. Let's just hope that these signings come through.
I always like to leave you last, Daz. You're the optimist, you see. You keep people like Paul Oxley very happy. Paul likes to hear you see. That's definitely it. Chris, should we be worried about the pre-season form? Obviously, this pre-season is a little bit different to other pre-seasons. There hasn't been the usual rest because of the pandemic, with the season not recommencing until a lot later and finishing later. So 4 or 5 week turnaround isn't a hell of a long time. Pre-season has to be fitted in with what I would classify as a substandard pre-season with the games that we managed to arrange. Obviously, the big issue was getting thumped off Middlesbrough 5-1, and then deciding that we couldn't play the return game allegedly because of injuries, which every team gets, of course. But yeah, are you concerned going into the first game away to West Ham that we haven't had a great pre-season?
Do you know what? I'm going to sound like Daz now. It doesn't faze me, to be honest. If anything, sometimes I quite like it when you have like a bad result pre-season, because I think it gives the players a kick up the backside. I think if we were scraping by, winning 1-0 against the lower league teams, then there could be people thinking, oh, everything's fine, it'll be okay, and you might take your foot off the gas a little bit. So I think the Middlesbrough result could end up being a good thing, because hopefully it'll make the players realise that we're perhaps not as good as what some of them think we are. I suppose it's not ideal, is it, having a shortened pre-season? It's never going to be a good thing. But the positive thing is it's not just ourselves in that boat. It's across the league, and obviously there was a lot of teams still involved in Europe at the time, so they're probably even further behind than what we are.
Okay, other question I'm going to ask you is, if the Callum Wilson deal goes through, I've seen this asked on Twitter as well, would you give Callum Wilson the number 9 shirt, or would you leave it with Joe Linton?
Do you know what? I'd probably give him Muto's shirt, because Muto's number 13, isn't he? And I think Callum Wilson was 13 at Bournemouth. So I'd probably give him Muto's shirt. I wouldn't give him the number 9. I'm not particularly happy with Joe Linton having it. I did read somewhere the other day someone saying about retiring it. For the short period, which I wouldn't be opposed to. Maybe just because some people were saying give it to Carroll, and I don't agree with that either. I think, I'd take the number 9 off Joe Linton, but I wouldn't necessarily give it to Callum Wilson. I think this season, leave the number 9, and we can reassess it next season. That's what I'd personally do.
Okay, Andre, same questions to you. First of all, are you concerned about the pre-season form? And secondly, Wilson signs. A lot of people saying we should give him the number 9 shirt. A lot of people, to be fair, saying we should just rest it, take it off Joe Linton, but give it to somebody, make somebody earn it. What's your views on both of those things?
Well, I think it's a big decision on Steve Bruce's part, because if you take the number 9 from Joe Linton, potentially you might shoot his confidence totally, and you might lose him for another season. Or if he keeps the number 9, it might be a vote of confidence for Joe Linton, and he somehow improves on his performance. At the same time, Callum Wilson probably knows the meaning of the number 9 in Newcastle, and probably he might want to take it, and it's part of the negotiations right now, or somehow they're trying to lure him into Newcastle with the number 9 shirt. So it's a big decision. I think it can go either way, and I'm very curious to see what Bruce wants. Personally, I would give it to Callum Wilson, and I would give Joelinton a number which reflects his natural position, because it turned out, and everybody admitted, that he's not a center forward. In terms of the preseason, it's, usually Newcastle has strange preseason. Somehow it's, ever since the days of Keegan, I remember that the Shearer transfer was done in July. Somehow Newcastle does their transfer business very late in the window. We never starts the season, with a full squad and the starting 11, and you had a couple of preseason games with the full team. I don't know. It's I don't know how many consecutive preseasons where the transfers will be done after the season has started. This summer window has been very different, because it was a 1.5 month summer break, so totally different preparation, probably different trainings. The season ended in end of July. Very important how you conduct all the trainings. We already see the first injuries coming, so very different to previous seasons in terms of background. And same old Newcastle in terms of doing business late. I don't know why is this. Probably it's a sign that it's not a well-run football club, what we've been discussing for years and years. And I won't be surprised if many of the transfers we discuss now will be done after the West Ham game, and actually even in October, because the transfer window will close on the 5th of October. But I don't know. I'm not excited with the results against Middlesbrough and Stoke yesterday. At the same time, you saw the team yesterday with Hayden playing in central defense. Probably against West Ham, you have 4 or 5 of the players who started yesterday, which again shows you that the quality of the
play, Andre. Quick one for you, Chris. There, ask Chris why does he support the team when he's from Liverpool?
Yeah, do you know, I get that all the time. My dad and all his side are from Newcastle. So that's why I support Newcastle. But yeah, I appreciate I haven't quite got the accent for it, have I?
No, you haven't, mate. But it's yeah, you've answered the question, which is great. Adam, on to you. With regards to what is essentially creeping up to the start of the new season, and Newcastle getting thumped off Borough 5-1, losing to Stoke 1-0. Obviously, it not the greatest preparation, is it?
No, but honestly, like the others have said, pre-season results don't really matter that much to me. I couldn't care less that we lost 1-0 to Stoke yesterday. I do care a lot about what Nathan said about that goal. I've no idea where Darlow was standing. I've no idea where Yedlin was. Just a nightmare piece of defending, and some of the clips from the Borough highlights as well were just terrible to watch. So, that would concern me, but the result itself, I don't care about that game at all, really. I mean, we've had great preseasons. We've had terrible preseasons. I remember the preseason when Newcastle came to America, the season before in the preseason before they finished 5th, and everyone was saying that we were destined for the drop, and we couldn't get half our team over there because they had visa issues, and just a disaster. So no, I'm not worried about the preseason at all. I think we can build off the back of this. I think it's actually sort of interesting that we're talking about these transfers potentially being quite late in the window. It seems like we've been taking a very long time to do this, but it's actually a little bit unlike Newcastle to not be doing this at the very last minute. I mean, we've got 3.5 weeks or so left of the transfer window. To Andre's point, there may be some late drama in this window for Newcastle. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I think the most likely scenario, if these transfers are completed, is that we'll go fill those 2 loan spots, whether it's Rob Holding from Arsenal or somebody else. The problem, obviously, with the loan spots is you still got to register those players unless they're under 21. So Rhian Brewster from Liverpool would be an excellent addition, in my opinion, on loan, because he wouldn't have to be registered yet. the problem with Nathan's client Troy Deeney is that he's another guy that would need to be registered, and we're not going to have space for all these guys. Dwight Gale may not be registered now because he's going to be out 3 or 4 months. That gets us to the early December, so he might free up a spot. And then just quickly on the number 9 issue, I personally don't think anybody should have the number 9 at Newcastle right now. I remember when Chris Hughton, our first year in the Championship, said no one gets the number 9 shirt until they prove they deserve it. And Andy Carroll wanted it, and he scored a ton of goals that season in the Championship. He got the shirt. It was a big deal to him and to the club at the time, and he went on to score a lot of goals. Obviously, he was ultimately sold to Liverpool, but I think they should do that again. Make someone earn it. Although the only caveat is if Callum Wilson either signs or doesn't sign because of the jersey number, give him whatever number he wants. I don't care if he wants number 1, number 9, or number 76. Give Callum Wilson whatever number he wants, because we've got to have him, basically. And in terms of Joe Linton, he was never a number 9 before he signed for Newcastle. It's not like number 9 meant anything to him personally. I think he wore 34 for Hoffenheim and in Austria. So give him number 34. He's not in a position to be demanding very much right now. And my just last point on preseason, I'm actually really annoyed at Joe Linton this preseason, because he went away knowing that he was going to have to go into quarantine. I mean, that list of countries that puts you in quarantine is on the public website. You can get it anywhere you want. He should have spent the 3 or 4 weeks off, settling into the Northeast, getting his family over to the Northeast, really bedding into the community and getting ready for the season with such a short time. To go on his holidays for 2 weeks to a place where he knew he was going to come back into quarantine and then miss two of the 3 weeks of preseason, I think just shows really poor application. And just, it sort of rubbed me the wrong way that he was the only guy to come back and have to go into quarantine when this was basically a make or break season for him. I don't know if that tells me that he doesn't want to be here anymore. Maybe it's too soon to start that conspiracy. But that was a major problem for me. It's something that he shouldn't have done. But I'm looking forward to the season starting now and hopefully talking about players coming in and going out rather than players on quarantine. But anyway.
Yep, good stuff, Adam. Sam Crutchley, thank you. Yes, we did notice that on NUFC.com slightly earlier. Blackburn at home, not that it matters. None of us can go in the Carabao Cup. And then the winner, obviously, in the next round, plays Morecambe or Oldham away. So not a bad draw in the League Cup, if indeed Newcastle are going to bother taking that seriously. Spenny Mark, same questions to you as I've just had to the other lads there. I mean, number 9 shirt first. Would you leave it with Joe Linton? We take it he's going to be part of Steve Bruce's plans anyway. So, he's got the shirt. Would you allow him to keep it?
No, I would hang it up. I would hang it up until someone's earned that shirt. Simple as. The only one man who's ever deserved that shirt in the few years I've supported is Shearer. And they talked the talk and he did it. Simple as that. If you're going to be a number 9 for Newcastle, you've got to be a goal scorer. Simple as that. And be honoured to be wearing that shirt. That's me all over anyway.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. Are you concerned about the pre-season form?
I'm concerned about the goalkeeper situation than anything else, because he looks dodgy as out him. I know we were talking about it last week, but I think we should get Woodman back. I don't know if we can get him back. I know he let one in the other day as well, but it's a real concern, the goalkeeper, for me.
Yeah, I think the goalkeeper is a big issue, and I did actually say this as well. I think if a takeover went through, I think it's a position that would still need to be looked at. I think Dubravka is a good goalkeeper, but I always feel when you have a takeover at a club, you build from the back, and I think you need a commanding, established goalkeeper and a good centre half, and I don't think we have. If a takeover goes through that kind of quality, but yeah, I agree, Spenny Mag. I think you're right.
And the team, you said, Steve, the team's built on a goalkeeper, a goal scorer, and a defender and a holding midfielder. Simple as that. Spine of the team.
Yeah, no, I agree. Al-Walid, what's your take on the Joe Linton number 9 situation? Would you allow him to keep the number 9 shirt? Would you give it to Callum Wilson? Would you retire it until somebody deserves it, like some of the lads have suggested?
I believe now it's no need to put more pressure on Callum Wilson, and I believe we should let the things as it is. Leave the same number, only if, as Adam said, only if really if Wilson requested as a request, that's another case. But if nobody asks for the number, let's keep it the same. We need 9 goals at first half of the season. More than argument who will get number 9 and score nothing.
Yep. Okay. And what are you concerned about the preseason form, Al-Walid?
Actually, I'm not going to defend the players. The score was awful. The defeat, especially the defeat from Middlesbrough. But I believe maybe after injury of Dubravka and Dwight Gale, and we lose them for like 2 months and 4 months for Gale. Maybe Mr. Steve Bruce ask the players to go easy with the games, try to prevent, do not play for 100% to avoid injuries. So I think that's the reason. So we shouldn't care much about the score. As I said before, there is 19 teams. We should win the games, regardless who we're gonna face. We should win the games we can get.
Okay, Nathan, same questions to you. Just really about the pre-season form first and foremost. Has it concerned you, or is it just a case of using these games to blow the cobwebs out?
Yeah, I think. Well, I touched on it the last time I was speaking, but I think for me, it's the results aren't as important in terms of whether we lose or whether we win. It's about the chances we're creating and the plays that we're making and the mistakes that we're making as well. Obviously, we've had very limited coverage, haven't we, compared to previous seasons as to how much we've actually been able to see. So I guess a lot of the things we're talking about are from 1 or 2 clips that we've seen online that have been from other channels, not really our own. And then they've been like through sort of bits of hearsay that we've heard about the games. Obviously, we all saw the mistake that we've touched on for the goal against Stoke. Just us giving the ball away. The goal came from nothing. It came from we had the ball down near their corner flag from a throw-in, I think it was, and we gave the ball away and we ended up getting broken against, and it was such a soft goal to concede. The positioning of the defenders was awful, and it's stuff like that that really makes you worried, rather than, if we get beat 1-0, but it's a well-worked goal and something that they've kind of earned, then you think, yeah, fair enough. It's a run out. It's you want to win, but it's one of those things. But like when you see kind of really basic, shocking defending like that, and a keeper in no man's land, and that's a keeper that we're going to be relying on at the start of the season, it doesn't really fill you with confidence sort of going through the team. Like from when I've played like Saturday, Sunday football, we have pre-season games, but you want to win, like you want to try and you want to win. It's about that application on the pitch stands you in good stead for the start of the beginning of the season. What I've sort of heard about from the Borough game was that there was like players like laughing, and there were players that sort of laughing and joking at the end of the game when they're getting beat. They put 5 goals past us, and the defenders are like laughing and joking with each other. You've got our captain who's kicked off with somebody and got sent off in an altercation in a pre-season game, and that's 2 sort of polar opposites, isn't it? Does that sort of mirror the frustration in the squad? Does that mirror the mood in the squad, that our captain's flying off the handle like that in a pre-season game? Stuff like that, really, it makes you think more about the sort of the camp as a whole, rather than like the performances of the players. You can let a bad performance slip by, but it's about are we creating anything? We don't look to have created much at all in these 2 games from what we've heard. So that's a concern. It's obviously something that we need to address. I think in terms of the number 9 shirt, I think I wouldn't be against retiring it for a season until somebody earns it. But I think we're looking back over the sort of Premiership years and we're comparing the number 9s that we've had recently to number 9s of old. And I think if we're talking about somebody earning that shirt, what does that mean to us as fans for someone to earn that shirt? And what's our criteria now? We're a team that finishes lower, 15th, 16th in the table every season. So we're not going to get, you know, a striker in the Premiership now that gives you 20 plus goals a season. That's something that you're talking 60 plus million, isn't it? You know, like that's unrealistic for us. So what is, you know, like what I think we need to reassess our expectations of what a number 9 striker is to us. For me, it's someone like Callum Wilson would be a good fit for it. Someone who's going to work hard and try hard for the team. If he gets 10, 12, 15 goals in that season, then yeah, that's for us where we are right now. That's a good performance from our number 9 striker. It's not, we're not going to get, unfortunately, we're not going to get a Shearer who's going to win it, you know, win points on his own for us, is it? And that's where we're at right now. So I think that pressure as well is something that comes from us, and it can't be good for the player whoever's got that shirt. You know, it's that pressure comes from us as fans, and because we've elevated this number 9 shirt to be something that is, for right now where we are, it's something that's unattainable for any player that's within our budget. So yeah.
Good stuff, Nathan. Dave, same questions to you, mate. I mean, obviously, pre-season hasn't been great, although, you know, rather shorter than expected, and results have been a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest with you, like, I mean, it's only pre-season. Like, I think you can't read too much into it, because I think I remember a few years back when Spurs were in all their pre-season, everyone was saying how amazing they were, and they started off shockingly badly. So I think you can read a lot into it, but I think obviously when you have like a performance like we did against Middlesbrough, you start setting the alarm bells ringing, and you get our captain coming out, giving the players a rollicking, which obviously we did a few years back when we got relegated. You know, when we had like Kevin Nolan and all that there, and you know, and it kind of built like a team culture from that. But no, in pre-season I'm not too worried. I think everything's different this year. You know, look, I mean, there's no fans in the stadiums. COVID, the timing's all wrong, you know. I just think it's just trying to get those players fit. That's all it is. I mean, I think it'd be really hard to and bed those new signings in, given that the first game's not that far away. But in terms of the number 9, like, I think Joelinton probably doesn't get it. To be honest, he's probably more interested in his hair colour than he is wearing the number 9. But look, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, and I guess like to Nathan's point about the number 9, you know, I mean, like I think our expectancy is that number 9 means goals. You know, it's Andy Cole, it's Shearer, it's Milburn, it's Supermac. But I think now like a number 9 probably isn't what it used to be. You know, in modern football, like I think nowadays like a number 9 is someone who is up on his own, one striker, holds the ball up, you know, battles, and doesn't necessarily get all the goals. If you look at like Firmino, for example, at Liverpool, I know it's a different club and everything, but he must have scored maybe 5 goals last year, and he was a number 9. So I think times are changing, but I think in terms of our identity, we always associate a number 9, a goal scorer. But yeah, I mean, but we're obviously going to be struggling next year for goals, because we obviously were one of the lowest goal scorers in the league last year, and I can't see Callum Wilson getting more than 10 goals, to be honest. But as I think a point was made earlier, that's 10 goals more than what we had from our striker last year.
Yeah, okay, that's good stuff, Martin. Same points to you, really. Just the pre-season form. Are you know, if you just really put that to one side, you just look at it and think, well, you know, it's just to blow the cobwebs out, or do you think it's a case for concern?
I think there's a couple of bits. I get, you know, it's a couple of games, but for me, you know, maybe I'm a little bit more old school, but like, we played Borough. Like, do you not want to win that game, lads? Like, I want to beat Borough. I want to beat Sunderland. You know, it's a local thing. So whether it's a pre-season, whether it's a full league, whether it's cup, whether it's a game of FIFA on the Xbox, I still want to beat them. So I don't get why there was no passion, and to get rolled over 5-1 by them, to me, that's not good enough at any level. Now, I get it's pre-season and we'll say it's blowing off the cobwebs and doing whatever, but I just have a different mentality. They should have gone out there. They're a Premiership team regardless. Borough aren't, and that's not being disrespectful to them. But we shouldn't be losing 5-1 pre-season. That's my gut feel on it. Stoke, yeah, look, you know, Chris said it, Nathan said it. The you know, defending was awful. Darlow was out of position. Yedlin, you know, looked like he was about 3'4". Probably even Daz is a little bit bigger than that, I think. You need to wind that seat up a little bit more, Daz. You're sloping behind that door, mate. So, yeah, I think, it wasn't a great preseason. Yeah, it's different times and stuff, but I just think there was no passion there. And to get rolled over, if what Nathan says is right, that players were laughing and having a bit of a joke about it, that for me is absolutely unacceptable. The number 9 shirt, again, I think most of the lads have covered it off. I wouldn't let any player have it next season. I think it does absolutely have to be earned. But I think Nathan made a really good point in that we keep looking back. There's not going to be another Shearer. He was one of a kind. Is there anybody going to break the goal scoring feats that he did at the club? I doubt it. Certainly not in my time. So it is a different setup, a different requirement, I suppose. And I think we've got to see who fits that bill. But what as Nate said, what bill do we want it to be? So retire it for next season. Let's see who turns up being the star man and somebody earn it. It's got to be earned. Has to be.
Great stuff. Daz, your views?
Yeah, first of all, I want a chance to reply to Martin. I'm 5'11", heading towards 6 foot. Yeah, no, just
is that kneeling?
just on the preseason. Here comes the positivity, Steve. It means nothing. Look, I've seen the guys when they come over in the games in Ireland and the few preseason games they have. It's with every preseason game they change the team at halftime. That the same 11 doesn't appear in the second half, and the tackles aren't as strong or whatever. And yeah, the only bad thing about this preseason, well, apart from the results, is the injuries to Gale and our keeper. But just that's on the preseason. Then on the number 9, just first thing, like from last week, we are our own 1 to 11. That number 9's mine. Someone has to take it off my back. Never mind Joe Linton. But let me see. I'd actually, like some of the guys said, I'd retired for this season. Let it have a straight shootout. Then you imagine Wilson will be our top goal scorer. Maybe it might kick Joe Linton into gear. Gale might come back and score us a few, and you never know. It could be Andy Carroll's at the end of the season. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to finish off the show with a prediction for where you guys think Newcastle are going to finish this season, and give us a prediction for next week's game. Because obviously, once we're back on air next week, we'll have played our first Premier League game. So, Daz, we'll start with you. Give us a prediction for next week's game and a prediction where you think Newcastle will finish in the league this year.
Okay, so next week I think West Ham are having a bit of infighting as well, so that could work to our advantage. So I'm going for a win next week. I'm going to be the positive again. And when it comes to where we finish in the league, 17th or higher will do. Yeah, with the signings, and if they can get over the line, you imagine we'd move that bit higher. But this is all about keeping us in the Premier League, keeping us there for that takeover dream to happen, and we can kick on from there. So, I before this week I was thinking relegation, but now I'm thinking 17th or higher.
Wow, big change. Martin, what's your prediction?
I'll sit on the fence. I'll go for 2-2. Sometimes I think we start slowly. So I'll go. I think they're in a bad way as well. So I think we'll play out a draw, Steve. Where will we finish? I'll go with similar to last. I don't think we'll be as bad as we think we're going to be, but I think we'll be probably 13th or 14th, maybe if we're lucky.
Dave G, your prediction?
I think we'll draw against West Ham at best. I think we always struggle down in London. And I hope that we finish 16th. I would take that now. If you said to me, survive 16th, yeah, I'll take that.
Okay, Nathan.
Yeah, I think in terms of the game against West Ham, I think it'd be typical Newcastle, wouldn't it, for them to go down there and put in a performance and get a decent result. I think that'd be typical after we talked about previous results in pre-season. So I think we might nick a scrappy 1-0 win, possibly. I'd take a draw certainly down there, but I feel like we might get a win down there, especially if we get some of these signings into the team in time for the game next weekend. Hopefully those can move quite quickly. In terms of prediction, I think, I don't know, it's miserable, isn't it? Like picking what number in the teams we think we're going to finish every season. But I think probably like 15th or something. I think there's going to be there'll be 3 worse teams than us this season. I think there might be 4 or 5 possibly. So yeah, I think about 15th.
Okay, Al-Walid, your prediction, please.
I think, inshallah, hopefully we'll win against West Ham. And for the, maybe, I hope we reach 10 on the 10th.
Okay, Spenny Mag.
I think we'll win 2-1 and we'll end up 10th if we get all these signings in.
Okay, good stuff. Adam, your prediction.
Yeah, we've won our last 2 away at West Ham. So I'm going to go for a 3-2 win. High scoring game, a lot of drama, probably be at least 1-0 down, but we'll win 3-2. And if we get these 3 signings, I'm just going to assume that we will, because I like to tempt fate. If we get these 3 signings and a couple of good loans in before the end of the window, we will finish 14th.
Great stuff. I'm looking forward to this season. Andre, your prediction.
I have the feeling that Andy Carroll will start and he'll score. I somehow can see Andy Carroll scoring next week. And I don't think Newcastle will lose. I think it will be a draw or a tight win. And I have the feeling that this year we're going to have a little run in the Carabao. I like the look of the draw, and I think that somehow Steve Bruce has this luck about him in the cups, and I have a good feeling for a run in the Carabao. And in the league, anywhere between 7th and 20th will not surprise me. But I think that we will not get relegated. 13, 14, similar to last season. If the transfers go through, if we cannot get them over the line as sometimes in the past, then I can see us struggling.
Okay, Chris, what's your predictions?
I think similar to what the gents have already said. I think personally, I think 0-0 and maybe 1-0 either side. That's the way I see it. I think it's going to be a tight game. And in terms of a prediction, I think I was discussing this the other day with my dad, and I think we're really lucky. We're really lucky this season because there are some poor teams in that Premier League at the moment. I think the teams have come up. I don't expect any big shakes from them. I think Sheffield United are going to struggle. Palace are going to struggle. Burnley are going to struggle. So I think we're fortunate in that. I think we'll be okay this season, especially with the signings that we're hopefully going to make. I think the 3 signings that have already been mentioned, I think they're going to make a massive difference. So I would say, I think about 13th, 14th.
Great stuff, lads. Well, we look forward to watching this at the back end of the season and seeing how well you predicted that.
Oh, I've lost some weight by then.
Well, I can understand I can understand the confidence. I really can with the signings coming in, and we are in a transitional period. If the takeover goes through, we will be living Daz has mentioned it already. We'll be on a different platform. So we've just got to hope that is still ongoing, and we have some kind of resolve to that. Maybe even before the season starts, it would be great. But the clock's beating us once again. Big thanks to you all for coming on, and look forward to speaking to you all again soon. Enjoy your week, and we'll speak after the game next week. Take care, lads.
See you later.
Thanks, Steve.
Good luck, lads. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.